TV Live. Visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Also watch us live on SLTV channel 264, VOP TV, Voice of the People Television.
VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
Hello, Nigeria. It's another exciting episode of the Issues and Voice of the People television, where we bring you the most important and pressing issues shaping our nation today. I am your host, Nenna Ndomdioto. Today on the issues, we're examining the complexities of Nigeria's polity and governance, from Tinubu directing urgent action on ranching, to Southwest leaders advocating state police and death penalty to curb insecurity. Also, Remi Tinubu defends interaction with Osun governor, describes backlash as needless. Join us as we break down the fact and provide context to help you stay informed. We'll take a break, and when we return, we'll dig deeper into these topics. Don't go away. Glad to have you back. Let's dive straight into today's discussion. President Bola Tinubu has called for stronger measures to curb the incessant conflict as a result of open grazing. He directed Vice President Kashim Shettima to work with the National Executive Council, NEC, and look for villages or grazing reserves that can be salvaged or rehabilitated into ranches and livestock settlements. The president restated the need to eliminate conflict and harness the opportunities the livestock sector holds. In another development, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has reaffirmed his administration's decision to withdraw police personnel from VIP escorts and redeploy them to core policing duties. Speaking before the FEC meeting in Abuja, the president insisted that Nigeria cannot afford to have thousands of officers assigned to politicians, businessmen, and celebrities, while communities remain under-policed. However, the Senate has launched a probe into what it described as the selective enforcement of the VIP police withdrawal directive. Lawmakers say they have received reports that while some senior citizens and public officials have complied, others continue to enjoy full police escort privileges. The Senate Committee on Police Affairs is expected to summon the Inspector General of Police to clarify why the directive is not being applied uniformly. Meanwhile, Nobel laureate Wole Soyinka has criticized what he called excessive and unnecessary security presence around the president's son, Sheyi Tinubu. Soyinka noted that at a time when the government is advocating the withdrawal of VIP escorts, the optics of a large security contingent around the president's family undermine public confidence. He urged the administration to lead by example to ensure credibility in its security reforms. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by two distinguished guests. Here in the studio, we have Dr. Peter Anosike. Dr. Anosike is a philosopher, development economist, and best-selling author. He's also an erudite commentator in economy, finance, politics, and power. He's also the author of the most talked about book titled Abuse of Power: How Democracy Turned into Tyranny of the Few. Thank you very much for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, joining us virtually is Emperor Jackson Ojo. He is a he is a public affairs analyst, a security expert, and executive protection specialist who get to join us during the show. Okay, let's start with you, Dr. Peter. The president seems to be taking a more decisive action on open grazing. Do you agree that that is what is happening here?
For me, that's well, for the first time, I am loving for the president because this is the main cause of the farmer headers conflict. This open grazing and caused by the headers because farms are stationary, farms don't move. So anytime there's a conflict between farmers and headers, the headers are at fault. Anytime there's a conflict between headers and farmers, the headers are at fault. And what is causing it is this open grazing. So if we have ranches everywhere, it means that cows will no longer enter into people's farms. And everywhere in the world, if you see cows that are in ranches, you see healthy, understand, well fed. If you go to Motana Onyako's farm in Adamawa and see cows there, that's one cow will be bigger than 3 of these that you see that have trekked from Kanu to Osun State. Understand? So there's no way a cow can trek 1,000 kilometers and still be healthy. And even there's even no reason for bringing live cows from the north to the south. Understand? There's no reason for that at all. But these people have seen suffering that's as a culture. What I mean by suffering is this nomads trekking from one state to the other, from one country to the other. No, they should stop that. It's not helping. It is not helping all the cows. It is not helping the human beings that are needing those cows. So for me, what the president said is true, because ranching would do 2 things. One, it will stop the headers, the headers conflict, farmer headers conflict. 1, then 2, it will automatically disarm those carrying AK-47, because their argument is always that wild animals attack their cows, attack them in the forest. So when there are no more moving up and down, there's no need that to carry AK-47. And once they are no more carrying AK-47, farmers can now comfortably go to their farms and start farming, because nobody is coming there to kill them. So I'm happy with this decision that the president has taken.
Okay, you know, one of the things, while you were talking, and you talked about the fact that cows that you see in ranches are healthier, are way healthier than those that have to trek a long
By
distance.
far healthier.
I was actually going to ask you that. Okay, if this is what is obtainable, why is it that these Fulanis, why is it that these people still go ahead to do all of this? Though you answered it when you said that because they love the suffering that's attached to it.
No, they see it as a culture.
Okay.
Understand me? They see it as a culture, doing what their great grandfathers did, doing what their grandfathers did. That my father suffered or trekked to school does not mean that I'll take to school. Why cars are available, school buses are available. In the time of my own father, there were no school buses. So now that there are school buses, I cannot say no. My father trekked to school, therefore I should trek to school. So those days there were no ranches in the country. So the only way cows can feed is to be taking them through the bushes. But now they can do ranches. One, they will be healthy themselves, and the cows will also be healthy, and there will be peace in the country.
Okay, but do you think that Nigeria has the expanse of land to really go into ranching? Because we hear what the president said. You know, he said some things about, okay, grazing reserves can be rehabilitated into ranches, and villages could be salvaged and all of that. You know, do we really have do we have that luxury of land for all of this to happen?
Kanu alone can contain all the cows in the country. They can turn Sambisa into a ranch. Sambisa can be turned into a ranch. Understand me? Niger State can contain half of the cows in the country. So there are land for ranching, especially in the north. Because in the north, you can run for 2 hours, without seeing any house. So we have a lot of land in the country, especially in the north for ranching.
Okay, and before I get back to you, we have our guest join us virtually. Glad to have you join us, Emperor.
My pleasure. Thank you. Good evening.
Yes, so let me
And
bring you
good
up.
evening to
Yes, good
Dr.
evening.
Peter Anosike there.
Yes, good evening, sir. Let me bring you up to speed. Okay, so the president has has directed that the vice president should take some steps in ensuring that ranching is put into place in Nigeria, and that's what we're talking about. That's one of the things the president has said, amongst other things. And I want to ask you this: why has Nigeria struggled for over a decade to adopt this shot? I don't think we've ever had. Okay, I think there was a time there was ranching, and then it stopped. But why has Nigeria struggled to adopt this national ranching policy, despite the repeated crises we've seen, especially when it comes to farmers and herders crisis?
Good development, but I want the president to do it the best way. What do I mean by the best way? It's not to just call on your vice president and tell him to preside over this and over that. This ranching we're talking about, is there any federal government land in Osun State? Is there any federal government land in Oyo State? Is there any federal government land in Zamfara State or in Ebonyi State or where? Federal government do not have land in all these areas. So what I would be suggesting is that Mr. President should meet with the governors of the 36 states and agree with them. At least 2 representatives from the east of the state form a particular committee, federal government committee, to study holistically on how we are going to bring about ranches in all the states of the federation, by each of the zones of the federation. That would have been it. How can you just come, Mr. Vice President, to preside over ranches and they will go to Ijesaland, where I come from? We are going to resist it. Nobody can just enter Ijesaland and say you want to build ranches. No, there must be full consultation with the people that are going to host them. It's a right decision in the right direction, but they should do it and study holistically, and they should do it well so that there won't be any problem at the end of the day.
You say there won't be any problem at the end of the day. What kind of problem do you envisage that Okay.
If there is no good consultation, if the people that are going to host the ranches, if they are not well consulted, agreed to know what is going to be the economic benefit and all that, to know that, to assure them that there won't be issue of insecurity and others. And you just, as a federal government, you cannot, as a federal government, just dabble into a land in Mesile or some state and just say you want to build ranches. Who are you to do that? The president does not have that power. So the people should be well consulted, and there must be meetings where people will agree that something like this is coming to this area. Look at the economic benefit. At the end of the day, ranch is a very large one. You could have mosque inside, you could have church inside, you could have primary and secondary school inside, which will benefit the children of the herdsmen, the Fulanis, the indigent community there. You know, things like this need to be agreed upon. It's not that you just sit down in the presidential villa and you just begin to talk without the proper consultation with the people. If you just do it without the proper consultation with people, it will aggravate the problem we are facing already. But if you do with the full consultation of the people, everybody know what they are going to benefit, what the community is going to benefit, what the individuals are going to benefit, how it's going to benefit the people, the area, the cow, and every other thing. I think it will work well.
Okay, okay. Let me. I'll get back to you, Dr. Peter. You have something to say to this?
Yes. The issue is this: ranching is not a national business. It is not a federal business. Understand? Ranching is like those sending cars, those sending wood in Ondo. Understand me? So ranching, government should not just come begin to take people's lands that they are doing ranching. No, whoever wants to do ranching should buy the land and do it. Understand me? You cannot be in Abuja and begin to say so and so land, so and so state. No, ranching, cattle rearing is a private business. It's not a national business. It is not crude oil. Ranching is not crude. It is individually owned. Those cows are not owned by Nigerians. They are owned by individuals. So those who want to do ranching should buy land where they want to do ranching. Understand? Ranching is like there's Andaba traders. If they want to go to Oshobo to build a shop, they will buy land. So whoever wants to do ranching have to buy land and do his ranching. Government cannot be seizing people's land and say that it is for ranching. And that it will not happen. Understand me? Because those cows are owned by individuals. They are not owned by Nigerians. So whoever have a lot of money to do what my friend Emperor said, that to buy a whole town where you can build a mosque, build church, even build a university, once you can afford it. And people agree to sell to you, fine and good. Understand? So the issue is this: Shetima must not be taking people's land for ranching. Ranching is a personal business like traders and other people.
You know, let me come in here. You know, one of the things that the president said was, he said, let me quote verbatim, said, if we exercise the constitutional requirement which states that the land belongs to the state, whichever one they can salvage, convert to a livestock village. So it's looking as if the president has put it upon himself or upon the federal government, and they need to just go out there and take land. That's from what we are reading here. That's what it looks like.
The president has no land in the country. The president has no land in the country. According to the Land Use Act of 1979, that they also put in 1999 Constitution, the governor of the state is the owner of every land within his own state.
That's what he said. The states that the land belongs to the state.
Yes, and so, but if government and government can only take people's land for for overriding public good. Understand me? But government has to pay compensation to the owners of the land. So if the governor if ranching is for public good, understand me? If ranching is for public good, then the land is not going to be taken by force. Those who own that land, government is going to compensate them. But as I said, ranching, cattle rearing is a private business. And the governor cannot just come that he's taking land for ranching. If he should take land that's for ranching, he should also take land for building shop for traders. Understand me? Because all these are private businesses.
But wouldn't this just be a way of him trying to ensure that this farmer headers crisis? Because it looks as if he leaves this decision to the farmers, they might not, to the headers, that it might not be a decision they would want to take up, it might not be an option they might want to take up. Wouldn't it be for the good of Nigerians if the president decides to take this up as a national call?
Take what?
Take the ranching.
You are trying that to cover. Take cattle business. Understand me? Take cattle business. Forget any name. Cattle business is a personal business. Who wants to build ranching for his business should buy the land if the owners of the land agree to sell to him. Understand me? Whoever, a governor of Abia State cannot come to my community and say he wants to take our land for ranching. The Abia State doesn't own cows. Individuals own cows. Understand? If he can build a ranch, he should also build market. If the governor can build a ranch, he can also build market, because these are private businesses.
Okay, the president is saying that the livestock reform can become an economically viable development. That there's a need for us, there's a need for the country to actually turn it into economic opportunities and prosperity. Don't you think that that's another thing that the president is looking at?
But it still remains a private business.
Okay, let's
Nigerians don't own cows. It is individuals that own cows.
Okay, let's come back to you, Imperial. How will the ranch initiative address long-standing mistrust between herders and farmer communities and farming? I know you've spoken a bit about that, but can you just highlight how this initiative would address? We've seen a lot of mistrust. We've seen a lot of issues that has arisen as a result of these herders and farming community clash, herders and farmers clash. How do you think this ranch initiative would address this?
Dr. Anosike has spoken a lot, and I don't think I have too many things to say about this again. In Ladipo, when you go to Ladipo, Lagos, where motor spare parts are being sold, I think the Igbo guy is there. I think they rent the place from the shop owners. Some of them bought the place because it is private businesses that are there. When you go to Port Harcourt, I have a fish farm and poultry. I bought the land from the landowners because it is going to be my private business. The people that are doing ranching, is it ranching for every one of us across the country? It belongs to some persons. So those persons too should negotiate. But the only area they need to involve the federal government through the state government is for the state government to stand as guarantee that there will be safe, secured, and protective environment. That is it. But if federal government don't want to push Setima to be the chairman and they just dabble into my community, the people of my community we are going to resist. Every other community in this country are going to resist. If you are not sponsoring the motor parks where all the transport company bought land or hire land, you are not sponsoring where people are doing poultry, you are not sponsoring where people build supermarkets and others, and you want to now take it upon yourself, you want to impose federal government powers. Where does the federal government derive power from? From the people. And the people are going to resist it. Instead of them to even try this thing that could aggravate the insecurity situation we are facing in this country, it is better they don't go that way at all. When people like us in the early 80s were in the primary and secondary schools, these Fulani men, they rear cows in our community. They never enter our farmlands. Some of their children could speak Yoruba. They offer Yoruba in WAEC. They even call iron mark than people like us. We were living together. Not until the government kind of politicized this situation and it become aggravated. And now it is either the government study holistically to revisit how were these people living with their host communities, the landowners those days, and there were no problems. I think they better revisit it. If they cannot do that, then the federal government through the state government, because the federal government do not have a land, and the land in my community does not belong to the government of my state, because the government of my state cannot just dabble into my father's family land. We are going to resist, and so any other person in this country could resist. So to me, let there be a holistic approach to this. If it is a policy, it's a welcome development, and policy implementation is also a welcome development. But the proper implementation of the policy that will bring about peace, tranquility, and peaceful coexistence is what we are expecting. It's not when somebody will just come gara. For political reasons, you say you want to acquire some people's land and give to some private business owner that rear cows. No, that one will not help the situation.
Okay, thank you very much, Perry. I'll come back to Dr. Peter. Let's move away from this ranching issue and move to the withdrawal of police escorts from VIPs. We've seen the president, one of the things he said still during the meeting today was he reiterated the need for police escorts, for the policemen to be withdrawn from VIPs. And it looks like, we also saw the Senate also talk about the fact that it looks like there's selective, how would I put it, selective deployment of this. When you take off for the police VIP from, so we police escort from one person, and then you leave the police escort from the other person. And also, just before today, or earlier today, we saw Professor Shoyinka talking about the number of persons, the number of police VIPs that we have, that the son of the president has. We're going to have to watch that video. I don't know if they can actually play that video for us, but I would see the Wole Soyinka talking about this. It just looks as if, on the other hand, he's talking about, on the other hand, the president is saying there's a need to withdraw our police escort. How come the president's son still has a lot of police escorts with him? According to Wole Soyinka, he said, let's listen to the video.
We didn't have to send the Air Force and the military to deal with this particular insurrection, this threat to our own sense of security and equilibrium. No, there are easier ways of doing it. Let me tell you where Tinubu should have looked for forces to quell that insurrection. Right here in Lagos. Right here. Or in Abuja, perhaps, I don't know. But There was no need to call the military or the Air Force. I'll tell you what happened. On one of my home visits, this about 2 months ago, I was coming out of a hotel and I saw what looked like a film set. And I said, oh, they're shooting a film. That was on the grounds of this hotel. And a young man detached himself from the actors, came over and greeted me, very polite, very nice young man. And I said, are you shooting somebody? I said, I'm just joking. Are you shooting a film? He said, no. And I looked around. There was nearly a whole battalion occupying the grounds of that hotel, in Ikoyi, right here. So I got back in my car and I asked the driver who that young man was. And he told me. And I saw this SWAT team, a mixture. They were at least heavily armed, at least some 15 or so heavily armed to the teeth security personnel. Looked sufficient to take over a small country, neighboring city like Benin. And I think the next time the president should just call and say, Sheyi, go and quell the rebellion over there. I was so astonished that I started looking for the National Security Advisor. I said, track him down for me. I think they got him somewhere in Paris, but I was with the president. He was at a meeting. And I said, I've just seen something I can't believe, I don't understand. And I described the scene to him. I said, do you mean that a child of the head of state goes around with an army for his protection or whatever? I couldn't believe it. Later on, I did some investigative journalism and I inquired, and I found that apparently this is how this young man goes around.
Okay, we've seen the video. This is talking about the police escort of Sheyi Tinubu, who is the son of the president. What do you make of this? Let me come to you before I get to Emperor.
Well, for me, it seems everybody is shaping up. Understand? Everybody is now trying to be nice, including Shoyinka. Understand? Akpabio, even Emperor Jackson's senior uncle, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So it seems everybody is trying to be nice. Well, what Shoyinka said is the truth. At least for the first time in 2 years, he has spoken like a statesman, and he has done what a statesman should do. For the first time in 2 years, he has spoken like a statesman and has done what a statesman should do. When you see something that is not normal, understand? That's you raise an alarm and you call people to order. Understand? For those who know Ade Bendel, one of the 419 kingpins in the country, understand? It was one day when Gabriel Onosade was driving on the road. Onosade was driving on, and Ade Bendel has to chase him out of the road with his own convoy. Understand me? Gabriel Onosade was former chairman of Cadbury. Then one non-entity, because of he had gotten money through dubious means, which is escort, chased Onosade that's out of the road. So Onosade picks his phone, called the governor of Edo State. Said, excuse me, sir, I don't know that there are two governors in the state. Look at an experience that I just have. That was what made Adebendel to enter trouble. He was arrested and investigation started, and all the 419 that he had done in the past were revealed. Understand me? So what Shoyinka did is what responsible people should be doing. When you see something that is not wrong, you raise an alarm and call those who have power to checkmate it. So Tinubu, Sheyi, nobody voted for Sheyi. Nobody voted for Sheyi. Understand? He is just by accident the son of the president, because he never begged president to give birth to him. Understand me? Sheyi never begged president to give birth to him. So it's just by accident. So he has no right whatsoever to use police ordinance.
Okay, so let me come in here. Let me ask you this. So don't you think that the children of presidents, shouldn't they be treated as VIPs? Don't they need security, children of presidents?
There's a very big difference between a public officer. Sheyi is not a public officer. Understand me? Sheyi is not it is a privilege. Understand me? It is a privilege. Understand? So giving him 15 mobile policemen for what? What is he doing that with it? So Shoyinka, that for the first time in 2 years, has said something responsibly. And again, for Tinubu to insist that police ordinance should be withdrawn and sent to where they belong to, it's also a good move.
Okay.
So that's why I say that everybody is now trying to shape up, because Donald Trump is watching.
Okay, let's get to hear from Emperor. Emperor, you watched the video, you listened to the video, and I'm sure you have something to say about that. And while you get to respond to that, I also want to ask, you've heard the president talk about this. We've heard the Senate say there's selective enforcement. But why has the withdrawal of police escorts from VIPs become very difficult to enforce? And we've also seen that, I think I recently heard, that the police don't even have the mind to even enforce this. They're even setting up a task force. How can you be setting up a task force in your own organization? Are you not supposed to is the IG not supposed to just give a directive that all those VIP, all these police escorts should return back to base? But no, they're sending a task force for them to be able to get those who are still, all about this. It just shows how, I don't know, just talk about it, please.
They say EU must go to equity, must go with clean hands. If the president gives the order to be enforced by the Inspector General of Police, and the son of the president is going with more than almost a battalion, according to the Nobel laureate, Professor Wole Soyinka. So how do you think any other president could not disobey? There won't be proper enforcement. If the people that are supposed to enforce, if the people that made the law, if they are disobeying the law, there can't be proper enforcement. And if there is no proper enforcement, they will bastardize the law or the order. As of today, the Senate president does he not have the retinue of military or paramilitary men? Something happened in Ekiti State about a week ago, where Okoyemi Bamidele took some senator, they took chieftaincy title in his home village. At the end of the day, when Okoyemi Bamidele was coming down from the vehicle, you see not just police, you see military that are supposed to stand for the territorial integrity of this country. You see military there escorting the senator. You see police everywhere escorting the senators. So how are you going to enforce this? That is the problem we are facing. If Mr. President made the order, let the first lady, first of all, lose all his military or paramilitary men around her because she's a VIP. She's not the president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces. She's not as strong. She's not as powerfully recognized that the way they recognize a local government chairman. A local government chairman is known to law. Office of the first lady is not known to law. So if the first lady still parade officers, if the Senate president, the speaker still parade officers, if some Senate, some governors, some ministers are still using motorcade, riding by the police, that is, they are making nonsensical of the law or the order.
Okay.
That is it.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to the second issue. We have an issue or one of our topics about Remi Tinubu. But before we get to that point, let's look at what Southwest leaders have said. They have said that there's a need to urgently adopt state police alongside a strict death penalty for kidnapping to tackle rising insecurity. The leaders under the aegis of Southwest Security Stakeholders Summit argue the central policing has become overstretched and ineffective. Let's quickly address that before we move on to the last issue. Dr. Peter, I know your stance on state police, but still I need you to talk about this.
It is a good one. The only way to go in this country is state police. I'm a fan. It is not a perfect system. It is subject to abuse, but there's nothing in the world that is not subject to abuse. People are even abusing Bible. People are even abusing Quran. There's no perfect organization. There's no perfect institution. Understand me? So for me, having state police far outweighs this central police that we are now that we now have in the country. And in any federation, there's always a state police. We have it in America. We have it everywhere. So, and punitive measures should be taken on those who commit heinous crimes like kidnapping. Understand? So, I'm in support of the decision that those people took. Then the question is, what of Southeast? What are they doing? Understand me? That's the question. What of Southeast? What are they doing? The Southwest is coming together. The governors are coming together. Security agencies are coming together. Southeast is not in the picture because all of them are seeing each other as a threat. Everybody wants to be vice president to a northern governor in 2031. And because of it, they cannot come together that to fashion a way out of the problems facing the southeastern states.
Okay, and let me come to you, Emperor. You know, one of the things that this group talked about is death penalty for kidnappers. Do you think this kind of penalty would it deter kidnapping when, of course, we know and we've heard that the real problem that we have in Nigeria, in our country about security or insecurity could be weak intelligence gathering and porous borders. But what do you think that death penalty or putting in place penalties such as this would actually deter kidnapping if those other things are not even put in place, are not checked?
Is it going to be automatic? It's not going to be automatic. Even if you see somebody, you call somebody that kidnaps, definitely you still have to go to court for interpretation and the pronouncement of the offense and the punishment. But with this kind of judicial system we have in this country, somebody will just call a judge, and somebody that kidnapped somebody, you just discover that is free the second day. So policy, law, the the most important thing I think is policy or implementation of the laws. They might say this, but if the state governor refuse to sign the death penalty, is it mean that we just go to say because you have kidnapped and you have been caught, I want to slaughter you? No. Police cannot just shoot on sight. That okay, because you kidnap, I just shoot you. It has to go to court. And when the court pronounce, somebody has to see sign it to kind of authenticate the pronouncement. But with the kind of judicial system we have today in this country, it will just be a law. But at the end of the day, it will be ineffective. So to me, what do we do to even stop this thing from happening at all? They say prevention is better than cure. To me, sometimes ago, when we hear about kidnapping, it's like it is happening in heaven. You won't know that it could happen in Nigeria. When we hear things about kidnapping, when you hear people like just shot at random, you don't believe they are Western things. They are the things of the Middle East. You don't believe that it could happen in Nigeria. Now that it's happening in Nigeria, let us see how we can prevent it. But as per the legality of it, it will not work because a judge will just set free somebody that has kidnapped, that has killed, and there is nothing anybody could do.
Okay.
That is it.
Okay, because of our time, I have to cut you there. Let's quickly move on to our last conversation for tonight. The First Lady of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, has dismissed the backlash over her interaction with Governor Demola Adeleke at the 10th coronation anniversary of the Ooni of Ife as needless controversy. Videos of the encounter had been widely circulated online, sparking debate about protocol and perceived disrespect. However, Remi Tinubu said the encounter was cordial and free of hostility, urging Nigerians to avoid misinterpreting public interactions between leaders. Okay, let me come to you, Dr. Peter. The supposed interaction the First Lady had, would you call it an interaction like she said, or would you describe it as an insult to the governor?
It is arrogant on her own part. She was arrogant, understand? She was arrogant, and the Adeleke was standing behind a seal, governor of Osun State, understand? And how did he become governor? Elected by the people. So at that point in time, even if Adeleke is her boyfriend, it doesn't count. That's official. Understand? Even if they were former senators, they know each other. Understand? But at that point in time, everything is official. So her coming to shut or the governor up is very, very wrong. Understand? No matter how close they are, at that point in time, it is business. Adeleke was not just sitting that's on a sofa somewhere. He was standing behind a seal of the governor of Osun State. So her coming there to tell her, to give her a warning, I'm giving you 5 minutes. Who are you?
Okay,
Understand me? Our constitution does not recognize office of the first. Understand me? So she is as an ordinary man, as an ordinary person like any other person there. It is just a privilege that she got married to Tinubu, who is currently the president of the country. So what she did is wrong. And she needs to apologize to the people of Osun State.
Okay, let me hear from Imperial. Dr. Peter says she needs to apologize, but actually she's saying that Nigerians are making a mountain out of a molehill. Do you think that's the case here, Imperial? Please, just in 1 minute, because we are really, really out of time, please.
home state, and I've issued a statement that they are now prepared to withdraw that chieftaincy title because the attitude, the behavior of the first lady that day, it is against the norm, the practice, and the tradition of the Yorubas when it comes to respect. And then he saw that day, the first lady insulted her husband, a Yoruba man. The first lady insulted the king, the Ooni of Ife. The first lady insulted the governor of Osun State. The first lady insulted the entire Yoruba race. And don't forget, the governor stood up with praises, song of praises to God. And this woman that's supposed to be a pastor stopped somebody from praising the God of heaven and earth. This woman do not need to apologize to people of Osun State alone. He needs to apologize to the Christendom in the country, need to apologize to all the Oduduwas, need to apologize to the people and the government of Osun State.
Okay,
need to apologize to all the traditional institutions in Yoruba land.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you. I have to cut you short here because that's all we have for today. That's where we can stop for today. Thank you very much, Emperor, for joining us virtually and for being a part of this show.
My greetings to you and my leader there, Dr. Wanosike.
We greet you as well.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for being a part of it and for always showing up. Thank you very much, Dr. Peter, for being here and for being a part of the issues.
We should know that Redeemed Church is the spiritual wing of APC. Let it be on record.
Wow.
Redeemed Church is the spiritual wing of APC.
That's from Dr. Peter Nosike. Please, that's from Dr. Peter Nosike. That's all we have for today's episode of The Issues. Explore the challenges facing Nigeria's polity and electoral governance. Thank you for being a part of this. Don't forget to tune in next time for more in-depth analysis and discussion. Follow us on social media to stay up to date on the latest news and insights. Until next time, stay informed. I am Nnenna Ndamdioto. This has been The Issues on Voice of the People Television, where the future faces forward. Please don't forget to stay tuned for hashtag with Vivian and Ikechukwu by 8 p.m. Don't go away.
My name is Tao Familoni, and here is to VOPTV. Keep watching, stay tuned, do not touch that dial.
Arararara, my name is Made Kuti, and you're watching VOPTV. Keep watching.
Welcome, my name is Zika Davis. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, boys, viewers, everybody, boys and girls. This is VOPTV. Do you know what that means? Voice of the People TV. You don't have a voice, don't come here. You better make sure your voice is heard.
This is Health Check, your weekly guide to better living, smarter choices, and trusted answers. From everyday wellness to urgent health issues, we've got you covered. Health Check, only on Voice of the People Television, where your health has a voice.
To know the happenings in the maritime sector, join us on the program Maritime Frontiers on VOP TV as we discuss key areas in the maritime sector from aquaculture, maritime transportation, maritime labor regulation, oil and gas exploration, ferry and passenger insurance, marine pollution and prevention, port operations, and lots more. Maritime Frontiers, exploring Nigeria's blue economy.
We encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at VOPTV Live. Visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Also watch us live on SLTV channel 264, VOP TV.